Now that we have our general layout for our solo selection selected, we can begin to add a little bit of functionality to it. So we're going to be doing a little bit of C++ programming because that's where we're going to make our structure. And we're going to be adding buttons live based on the pretty much an array that we make of that structure. So that array is going to contain things such as the map name, the map description, the map image, and the URL/path to the level that we want to travel to. Now, because we have our back button inside of our not our size box, our vertical box, anything that we add is map-wise is going to come after this back button. So we're going to have to get rid of the back button by just moving it outside of our vertical box, like so, setting its anchor to I'll do the bottom center. And we're just going to move it roughly where we think it would be decent. Make the button a little bit, whoops. If I can even click the bloody thing. About kind of like so. Make sure it still looks the same. Yeah, good enough. Okay, so now we can begin to do what we need. So I'm going to actually create the structure first. So we're going to go over here to C++ classes. We're going to open public, and we're going to make a new C++ class. And I want to go ahead and make a game instance. Now I want to store the structure in here because this is where the game instance is where pretty much it's going to exist throughout your entire play session. So by the time you open up the game to the time you close the game, it's going to be here. So let's give it a name. Also out of curiosity, go to project settings, maps and modes, a game instance class. We're going to need to make sure we set our game instance to the game instance class so that way it runs. So we're going to create a new C++ class of a game instance. Going to call it custom game instance base, or let's actually call it Nazi zombie game instance base because this is going to be specific to that mode. And we're going to sort it. So I want to call this one Nazi zombie / game. So that way we know that the file is in the it's in the Nazi zombie category, and we're putting it inside of game because it's where we're having all of our game info. So that's gonna be like our game mode or game state and that sort of thing. And since Nazi Zombies is pretty straightforward, we're probably only gonna have 1 or 2 game modes. Gonna have probably 1 game state and that sort of thing. All right, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and create class. Make sure we have public selected so it sorts out the header and the .cpp, and hit create class. Now, as of version 4.24 of Unreal Engine, you will see that it has failed to compile. That is due to how it does its headers. So if we go ahead and open them up, look at the CPP, the include is incorrect. It can't find the source file. So before this used to be fine, but now we have to go from the name of the project down to public, down to Nazi Zombies, game, and then the header, like so. So we have world at war, which is our project name, public, Nazi Zombie, game, then our header. And that is a long include. Now that we have that, I'm just going to go ahead and make a quick constructor. Oops. Like so. And we can begin building our structure. So I'm going to do a quick compile just to make sure everything's good to go. I'm going to go ahead and close Unreal Engine. Well, once it's done compiling, I'm actually going to set the game's instance real quick. So go back to project settings, maps and modes. Game instance class is Nazi Zombie Game Instance Base. Right, got that set. File, save all, and close. Now we create our structure. So remember all the things that I mentioned before that we need. The URL for the map so we know where to travel to. The, call it the map name, the map description, and the map image. So this is going to be of a type ustruct. So we're going to do ustruct. It's going to be blueprint type, so we can interact with it inside of blueprints. Do struct. Because it's a ustruct, we have to start this off with f. So it's going to be f map info. Map info or map data. And I'm just going to do map info. I think that suits it about right. Then we do generate a body. Just going to make a public section. And I want to leave all these variables as public. I'm going to have no setters or getters. And start off with f string map URL, f string map name, f string map description, and I'm going to forward declare a u texture 2D. Call it map image. This is going to be for our map image, obviously. Now, because I want to access these variables individually inside of Blueprint, we need to use the uProperty macro. We're going to do blueprint read write and edit anywhere. So let's go ahead and add these like so. I want to tab them over and compile. So the reason I'm doing both blueprint read write and edit anywhere, with edit anywhere, for example, if I make a blueprint version of this game instance class, I'm going to go ahead and restart the editor, and I make an array of that is blueprint edit anywhere for the map info, I am able to access and set map URL, name, description, and the image because of edit anywhere. But if I try to use fmapinfo as a structure in general, I cannot break it or make it with these individual variables unless I have blueprint read write or blueprint write, for example, in it. So that's the reason behind those. Now let's head back to our widget and open it back up. And just so we can see, I want to right click map info. We have make map info. We have a URL, name, description, and everything we need. So we are good to go there. I'm going to close it. And now we can actually get started with our button. So we're going to make a new widget, user interface. I'm going to call it debut underscore solo map button. I'm going to open that up. We're going to delete our canvas panel. I'm going to drag out a button and text box inside of that. And over here we see fill screen, just set it to desired. And that's kind of roughly what we're actually going to be seeing. So for our text box, I'm just going to change it to map name, give it a variable of tb underscore map name, set it as a variable. And for the button, just going to be b underscore map. So it's set up nice and simple like that. You can actually go ahead and set it on clicked event real quick. So press that, delete the event tick and the pre-construct as those are not needed. And we're going to create a new variable. This is going to be of our structure. So I'm going to call this one info. The type is going to be map info. We're going to make it instance editable and expose it on spawn. We're going to drag it out. Then we're going to break it. And here's where we can kind of set what we need. So we're going to set the button text. So we're going to get it, set text. Text is going to be the map name. Like so. And that's all we need for that button. Because we are spawning it from our main menu widget, I want to be able to call functions on it. So we're going to make it another variable. I'm going to call this one parent. The type's going to be debut underscore main menu. It's going to be an object reference. Make it instance editable and expose it on spawn again. And that's what we're going to be referencing to call public functions that we have to set the info we see here, such as the image, name, and text or description. So we have this set. I'm going to go ahead and start on making a quick array of those structures. So under variables, I want to create a new one. Call this one map list. The type is going to be map info. And we're going to click this little line here, change it to the grid, and make it an array. So compile save, and we have our default value. Create a new one. We have a drop-down box. You can see all what we have. We have the URL, the name, description, and the image. So for the map name, so we have our map 1, map 2. These are just like the first person example map. Same thing with map 2, except I just added a few cubes so we can see it. You can do whatever you want. So we have map 1. Give this a name of map 1. The map URL is the path, so we click on the map, right-click, copy reference, and we paste it in. We need to get rid of everything after the period on the end, and in the start, we need to get rid of everything before the first /. All right, that one's good. In the description, I'm just going to do this is a test description map 1, and give it a random texture. That looks kind of cool. All right, so we have one there. I'm going to create one more. Going to copy the map URL from the first one, put it in there for the second one. Just change the map 1 to a map 2. Give a name of map 2, map description, test map 2 description. It's probably spelled wrong. Random texture. I'm going to use that grid. So compile save, and we now have our our array of 2 different maps. And that's where we're going to do it on, well, when the solo button is clicked, we're going to pretty much spawn and add everything to the vertical box here, which means we need to make this a variable. So check is a variable for the vertical box. Call it VB underscore map list or solo map list. We're going to drag it out. I'm going to delete that for now. Actually, we're going to do a for loop on the map list. So we're going to do for each loop. And we're going to do a create widget. Type's going to be the W solo map button. For info, it's going to be the array element. And for the parent, we're going to do a reference to self, which is this widget that we're in. And from here, we want to get our solo map list vertical box. We're going to do add child to vertical box. And we're going to pass that button that we just created into it. So we should have 2 extra buttons. They should be below. No, I forgot we changed that. So we now have those buttons, map 1 and map 2. So out of curiosity, let's do a little print string just to make sure they're firing, which they are. So I'm going to do a quick little design change and make it look a little more like these buttons here. I can actually probably just copy that and paste it, can't I? Nope. All right, so we have I know it's all black. The alpha was 0.15. Yes. And the text horizontally aligned to the left with a padding of 30 on the left. Like so. Compile save. And as you can see, there we are. So let's move back to our main menu widget. We can delete our two buttons like so. They should be automatically added now, just like that. So now we need to make the functions to set the image, name, and the description. Give this a default name of map description, just because that was getting annoying. So for that, we need to create a public function. Call it set map info, or sent hovered map info, sorry. Make sure it's set to public. And we need to make it take in an input. That's going to be our map info. So call this one info, like so. And now we can call it. So let's open up our solo map button and the on clicked. Again, we're going to change this to on hovered here in a second, but we're just doing this so we can test it a little more reliably, even though we probably don't necessarily need to. So we're going to do parent. Just do a valid check. It's really not needed since it's almost guaranteed that we're going to be passing it in, but just in case it forgets, we can do a little print string. Forgot to pass in parent, like so. All right, so if it's valid, we want to go from the parent. We want to call set, what did I call it? Set hovered map info, set hovered map info, and it takes in the structure. So we're going to get it, and we're just going to plug it right in. Compile and save. And here we can set everything that we need to. We're going to need to categorize these to make them a lot neater in the future, but for now we're just going to leave it. So we have our iSolo map image. We're going to drag that out, get it. Our map name, our map description. And we're at set text, set brush. Whoops, sorry, set brush from texture, like so. And we're going to get the info. We're going to break it. And here's where we're going to link everything up. So we're going to do the map name first. So map name, plug that in. It's going to convert it to a text. We can eventually later on just set the structure to be ftext. Probably would be a lot nicer so we don't have to actually do the conversion. So we will do that in a later video. Going to set the map description. We're going to select the checkbox to make it true for match size. And we're going to set the map image. That is a gross cluster. I want to spread this out a little bit. And do it. That's a lot nicer looking. So do it like that. Now let's do a print string. Just make sure that it's calling the function. Click solo, map one, click it. To print out the string, it sets the description, the image, and everything that we have set, like so. Oh, right, we haven't set up the quit button. So now we can remove the print string. We know we're good to go. We're going to change this to an on hovered instead of on clicked. So click the button, on hovered. This is so we can keep with the functionality just like Word does. and simply connect them up. Compile, save, open it. Each time we hover, I am not clicking, the map actually changes. So that's how we have our own little map selector that we can set up very easily inside of just Blueprint. So for the majority of the widget, we're just going to be, or the menu, we're going to be strictly doing things in Blueprint. When it comes down to actually altering the widget, once we move to actually creating sessions and stuff like that, we're going to move back over to C++, just because of the ease, as you saw, to actually do something like this. It was very easy to do inside of Blueprint, which is why we made our structure strictly in pretty much Blueprint. And there's no really worry about performance anyways. It's a menu. So now that we have that set up, we can, in the next video, we will set it up so when you actually click the one of the map buttons, we will actually go to that map so we can start playing. And that is going to kind of be the foundation for how we technically transfer over to other maps. So we can easily fill this up, add more maps as we see fit, and continue going that route. So I hope you enjoyed this and learned something. I will see you in the next one when we actually make it so we can join these maps when we click them. So I'll see you then.